G'day Sonic Squad! I love Sonic Frontiers. This game was definitely one of the greatest gaming experiences I've had in quite a while now. One part of the game I particularly enjoy very much and replay still to this day is the Cyberspace Levels. The strange digital world of cyberspace. A unique digital world separate from other areas in Sonic's universe and quite possibly other dimensions. It is the type of a mysterious space that is only accessible through portals on the Star 4 islands. Within each of those islands are various cyberspace portals that lead to short levels that play similar to traditional Sonic stages, with 7 being on Kronos, Ares and Chaos, and Oronos having 9, making a total of 30 cyberspace levels. Every cyberspace level is themed after either Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Sky Sanctuary or Eternal Highway, with the latter being an original design appearing as a vast network of highways, taking place in either during the day, dawn, sunset or at night. These locations contain bite-sized and fast-paced linear stages, done in the style of previous 3D Sonic games and inspired by locations from the Sonic series, which shift between third-person and side-scrolling perspectives. Some don't really like them, but me? I had mostly a lot of fun when playing these shorter linear stages, and I love trying to get better at them by finding faster routes and demolishing the S-rank times. Now this begs the question, what is the best cyberspace level? Obviously there's no definitive answer to that question because you're generally asking for someone's opinion of their favourites and or least favourites and how well received their answer is amongst others, or finding out how completely wrong you are. You have most likely watched other people's videos and seen their questionable takes on the cyberspace levels and ranking them accordingly. But I've gone and done my own thing and compiled and narrowed down a list of 10 cyberspace levels that I enjoy and think are the best levels in Sonic Frontiers. For this list, I'll be ranking the stages based on level design and layout, aesthetics, and partly on the music if it's worth mentioning. Of course, these are my personal opinions and experiences and should not be considered as factual evidence. But then again, this is the internet and only your opinion matters, so... My opinion is the truth, and you just have to accept that.
Oh really? And what should anyone believe what you say?
Well, it's because I have £500 million in Rise of Kingdoms. Number 10. Cyberspace 4-4. An original level layout during the dawn in the Eternal Highway environment. The most notable obstacles which Sonic encounters are rails, including looped, spiked and with gaps too, moving iron balls, some of them swinging in groups, vertical or just end-to-end, spike pits and multiple rainbow rings. It's lengthy, which is what fans want to experience more of with modern Sonic games nowadays, with cool branching pathways, platforming challenges when you are constantly boosting and have to quickly switch rails back and forth, and it really shines the most here. It has a surprising amount of danger besides the looming bottomless pit. The level layout focuses on quick platforming, rail switching and dodging spikes. Hitting the switch to unlock doors gimmick is done really well, as you don't have to stop your forward movement and break the pace. It's a full-length stage that doesn't feel half-baked, as it combines speed with platforming and has some danger to it. Making good use of the layout and timing is key to completing this level, and with that, it truly feels like a modern Sonic level when it mixes it all together. Number 9. Cyberspace 2-7. Based off classic Sonic Sky Sanctuary from Sonic Generations, and being part of the cyberspace realm, it is rather an incomplete, fragmented incarnation of the location set in the daytime with the Death Egg visible in the distance. It begins in a similar way to the original stage, passing through the outer parts of the sanctuary with dazzling views and anti-gravitational tops, also ending in a similar way to the original stage, the towers crumbling as the Death Egg rises. Just like in Generations, there are clouds, pole elevators and spikes, turntables with spike ends, disintegrating bridges and platforms that you encounter, behaving exactly as you remember. We get to run through numerous ancient floating islands in Sky Sanctuary, with many collapsing paths. Pillars in the background are continuously collapsing, which is a nice sight to see, making the stage feel more interactive. 2-7 as the stage is set to a 2.5D perspective, with the camera occasionally changing angle to show off the view ahead. You can also rotate the camera around here in a specific spot. That's cool. This level is very platforming heavy, and has a good deal of bottomless pits than most of the other stages in cyberspace. This is where I embrace the type moment-to-moment movement tech in the slower but concentrated areas. And it also gives you opportunities to blitz through the stage by finding pathways hidden in plain sight. A fun level to play well through and through. Number 8. Cyberspace 4-5. An original Green Hill level in the sunset, with elements you can compare to Cool Edge of Act 4 from Sonic Unleashed. 4-5 shares the basic cyberspace theme along with other stages, while presenting floating chunks of island space on Generation's Green Hill. The terrain often contains familiar elements such as giant loops and corkscrews. The gameplay is in 3D, where it starts simply between rows and gaps, with egg springs hidden behind barriers, ring trails, dash rings, iron balls, and disengaging platforms, and no badniks in this level. It offers different roads to take, each having routes being more safer or with more rings, which you can decide which path to take before it connects back to the main road. The level's primary focus is on airborne gameplay, with the high in the sky and thrill hovering above danger but within control of our actions. In many ways, it does feel like an Unleashed DLC level, and I embrace it. Yeah, it may be a simple single corridor level, but using the boost mid-air to get across over pits and onto other pathways is actually really fun. It's a fun level to breeze through, and it encouraged me to find ways to go faster and rely on the boost mid-air more often to get under that minute. It's a good ride. Number 7. Cyberspace 3-6. Another longer stage and possibly the most difficult level in the game. Parts of the level layout in 3-6 are directly taken from Rooftop Run Act 2 in the HD version of Sonic Unleashed, taking place far above the town of Spagonia on a race course of platforms encircling a large tower in the middle of the act. You are having to circle around the tower through various platforms and attacking enemies, with various moves such as the wall jump, homing attacks, and light speed dash being essential to completion. For each complete circuit, the course changes and becomes much more difficult, receiving a harder layout, more frequently occurring obstacles such as iron balls, and additional gimmicks such as the QTE cannons and rainbow rings. Using the full range of skills to avoid falling to a nasty death is the key to completion and grabbing the S rank. It's really satisfying to get a good time after reaching the portal at the end after a lengthy level, where you're focused and doing your best not to make any mistake when it throws multiple things at you. It'll test your patience and totally stands out more compared to other levels due to the challenge it offers. The lack of momentum actually assists here in regards to making precise movements. It's a lengthy challenge that acts as a proof of concept to show that Sonic can still be engaging when not moving at fast speeds. Playing the level without dying is already a fun challenge that holds your attention and interest, especially when trying to go fast as you're on higher alert, and risks are increasingly changing the possible outcome of completing it on the first try or restarting over and over again. It does teach you to get good at the game, and that is the type of difficulty that is wanted and needed. Number 6. Cyberspace 4-7. Another original level layout, 4-7 shares the basic cyberspace theme along with other stages, while presenting floating city locations strongly resembling Skyscaper Scamper and Speed Highway. Much like 1-7 though, the aesthetics of the stage are close to the same, with the background having a nighttime setting. The entire level is in 3D, where you encounter loops, propeller springs, homing attack chains and fans, with some of them arranged along narrow sections. You are essentially climbing up the level in a way by taking advantage of the level layout. Definitely one of the more memorable levels, thanks to its Ascension style layout as well as a mixture of the nighttime setting. While it's not as spacious as 4-4, the tight design leads to more platforming and quick movements. The tower climbing motif is something we don't see very often in Sonic games, and it's one of the best utilization of the fan springs, tapping back into the airborne sensation. It's a fun time, especially when it picks up in the second half. Number 5. Cyberspace 2-6. Covered in the Green Hill aesthetics, the pieces of the linear layout of the stage are eternally very similar to Shadow's level of Sky Rail from Sonic Adventure 2. It is set above an endless bottomless pit with isolated hills connecting by rails. The major gimmicks are rails all over the level and fan springs that work by homing and attacking them, giving Sonic a burst upwards to reach the higher levels. Even though it is a reused level, it feels refreshing to run through an adventure era level in a modern boost formula game. The length helps you learn and adapt to the layout and experiment while having fun at the same time. And experimentation can lead to discovering cool secret paths to take, with the heavy emphasis of grinding on rails. Oddly enough, it's a fresh breath of air from what we've been receiving, as instead of being a narrow path corridor, it feels more of a playground that you can go fast through, and it never slows you down. In some ways, it's better than the original Sky Rail. It offers freedom, which is the pinnacle of frontiers, with open space and rails to jump around onto. It's one of the longer and fun cyberspace stages in the game, especially when grinding on rails and taking some speedrun opportunities, and the many optional paths to rank up many rings On top, the music being very cool and puts you in the moment. This stage alone just shows how well an adventure level works in a boost oriented game. Number 4. Cyberspace 1-5. One of the best generation stages makes a return in Frontiers, and that is Chemical Plant Act 2, but only the 3D sections. As such, there are tons of mechanical buildings and tubes throughout the setting. 1-5 is a normal stage with primary gimmicks, with plenty of hazards such as the spinning badniks, blue blobs and bombless pits. It is my favourite of the early Cyberspace levels, accompanied with amazing music that you could play at a party and dance to, crazy big shortcuts that you can discover and take alternative paths to reach each other sections of the level. It's full of boostable railways and swinging cranes. This level is awesome, and again with the music, the best Cyberspace track in the game. Which if you haven't, you should check out my top 20 Sonic Frontiers music tracks. You may be surprised with some of the choices I made. I enjoy the twists and turns it takes you through. Hitting the rainbow ring feels great. The level is filled with quick tricks that you can take and perform to really take advantage of the level design. It's a blast, and I repeatedly play this just to go through every possible pathway and take in the scenery of the chemical plant buildings and roadways. Also, I may be slightly biased towards it as it is Chemical Plant, one of the best stages in Sonic 2, and Generation's modern interpretation is the best one, but it's not the best Cyberspace level, as we will continue through the list. Number 3. Cyberspace 3-1. The best Sonic Adventure 2 level makes its grand return as the 15th Cyberspace stage, and that is Green Forest. 3-1 is the Park Avenue of Frontiers, a playground offering many tricks to take whilst maintaining that speed and momentum that the original Green Forest had. Another great example of how a level from the adventure era works incredibly well with the boost formula gameplay. And its feature gimmicks return as well, with branches replaced with pulleys and their different functionalities, loops, including the ones with the gaps in between, and disintegrating platforms. It feels thrilling. You feel and go fast, with good platforming and a good sense of a challenge. Everything great in Green Forest has been transitioned well to replicate what Green Forest truly is. A fast-paced race course going from point A to point B in the fastest and funnest way possible, and the music helps add to it. I'm glad this stage got reused for Frontiers, and it proves how well Adventure 2 levels are made no matter what kind of gameplay is used. 3-1 is amazing. It's Green Forest. There is nothing else need to be said about it. Number 2. Cyberspace 4-3. And another original level layout that is all in 3D with Chemical Plant's aesthetics. There are moving blocks, spike walls, and chains along with wide springs, rails, horizontal bars and loops. It's one of the more challenging levels to do a flawless run with, whilst boosting through with the party rave music bopping in your ears. It presents many opportunities to take alternative pathways, giving you a variety of exploration. It was another level that encouraged me to replay and not only get a faster time, but just to see where said paths connect with the main route. It's a hybrid of adventure and boost that works well, an original level with a surprising amount of layers, with air boosting essential for finding and taking shortcuts. Probably one of the main reasons why it's so high on this list is due to the fact of how much it surprised me with what and how much you can do, whilst doing it fast and making quick reactions. It's one of the best of the later Cyberspace stages you'll encounter near the endgame of Frontiers, and correctly placed too. Even though this is a top 10 video, there are some Cyberspace stages that did miss out the top spots, and I wanted to give them an honorable mention, so let's quickly reveal them. Cyberspace 4-1. This level is entirely 3D, with pieces of the stage layout taken from Metal Harbor. Major gimmicks of this level are the large quantity of loops and ramps, followed by boarding down a narrow twisty road. Cyberspace 3-3. The 3D sections of Sky Sanctuary from Generations during the sunset remain intact, including several different routes allowing you to traverse via zip lines, rotating platforms, bounceable clouds, rainbow rings, and warp points. Cyberspace 1-4. The 3D sections of Green Hill from Generations during the sunset remain intact as normal for Cyberspace 1-4, whilst facing a thorough updated version with grind rails and dash panels, with its notable obstacles being badniks across the stage. Cyberspace 4-9. An original Eternal Highway level with elements comparable to the skateboard section of City Escape. One of the more unique levels as you start on a skateboard and end with it as well. Cyberspace 4-6. Parts of the 2D level layout taken from Generations Chemical Plant Act 1 combined together with floating platforms, high-speed warp tubes, blue blobs, horizontal and vertical terminals, and square staircase blocks as you truly remember back a decade ago. Now it's time to review the best cyberspace level in Sonic Frontiers. It did take me a while to finalize my choices as I kept constantly swapping around for various reasons, and replays did not help make an easy task. But I'm happy to say, with confidence, that the best level in cyberspace of Sonic Frontiers is, quite possibly, everyone will agree on with this. Number 1. Cyberspace 4-2. 4-2 presents floating city locations strongly resembling skyscraper scamper and speed highway. As such, there are many streets and buildings present in the distance. The streets are layered with various signs as well as traffic signals, while the background consists of fast moving roads complementing the sky blue background with rapid laser-like sparks also bypassing the screen to represent the digitalized atmosphere of the stage. You'll be experimenting with the good old alternative paths and routes in order to pull off an S rank here. You got obstacles and gimmicks that include platforms moving side to side, rails, some spiked, and loops leading to vertical roads, with the traffic vehicles being able to get destroyed with the boost or spin attack. It even gets cinematic with the short cutscene of Sonic breaking through the barriers, which is even more cool when you time your boost right as you make contact with the barriers. This was one of the first original cyberspace levels to be shown off, and it's honestly the best one. Fans have been wanting for newer levels to have some diverse pathways, and 4-2 delivers it. When you think of Eternal Highway aesthetic, you're gonna think of this stage. It has so many ways to take and finish the level. It's a thrill ride from beginning to end as you feel rewarded for taking specific paths and how it cuts through other paths and connects to others. And you can even perform some cool movements that will leave you satisfied when you get onto the path you want to take. I love replaying this the most. It stood out the most for me when compared to the other cyberspace levels, and I pray we get more levels like this and longer ones in the near future. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, are my top 10 cyberspace levels. All of the cyberspace levels offer many different gimmicks, ranging from reused level layouts of the past and some original level design that show what the potential of future endeavors that our Blue Blur could venture into. Of course, the majority of the cyberspace levels are enjoyable to play through, but my choices of replaying them will always be these 10, no matter what. And speaking of top 10s, you can check out my top 10 music tracks from Sonic Frontiers here, as well as other top 10 videos I have done with Sonic with his other games. Now, how similar are your tastes compared to mine? Only one way to find out. Take care.